Hi, everyone out there. I am so excited to be back, and we are on episode six. I am so amazed by that. Yeah, it's episode six. And I had interviewed a couple of ladies the last two times, Lisa, episode four, and Laura, episode five. Laura and I drove to Lisa's, and I got to spend a lot of time with Laura talking about her story, and those interviews were just fabulous. We shot them in beautiful Maine. I don't know if I'm saying it right. Mancos, Colorado. It's a little bit outside of Durango. If you didn't have a chance to check those out, listen to them, I would highly encourage it. Lisa is a stage three rectal cancer survivor and thriver. She's beyond a survivor, let me tell you. She's a rock star. And then we have Laura, who was paralyzed from the neck down, who is now I was going to say walking with a wheelchair, but that doesn't make any sense. Walking with a walker and moving her. She's got feelings from her waist up, like just a remarkable human being and the things that she's gone through. And anyway, highly recommend that you check those out if you want to be inspired. And anyway, I wanted to express some gratitude to my daughter Haley. And I think had mentioned her name before, and I want to get into this with you, with back to my story, back to me. And I had mentioned before in one of the episodes about how I was very numb, and I do believe that we all fall into one of those categories. Sometimes when something traumatic happens, we go into fight, flight, or freeze. Well, mine was definitely freeze, and it was very interesting because it was almost like I didn't even exist. Like I was floating around in some other realm. And really, it was just a check. I was just checked out, is really what it was. I wasn't having a spiritual experience, not at that moment. I was more checked out. So, how I got checked back in is a very interesting place. It's basically, I was told to, not told, somebody suggested, hey, a support group might be a really good idea for you. I was very newly diagnosed, so we're talking like it hadn't even been a month yet. I don't think it was pretty new. You're. I was basically told I'm dying, and so I'm in that space, and I'm told that check out the support group, be really good. And I thought, well, yeah, this could be really good. So I started I got on the first call, and it was all online, of course. And everybody on the call was very young, besides me. So I guess would consider myself young still. They were like in their 20s, so they were just, to me, they're babies. My daughter just is turning 21 tomorrow, so to me, I'm like, she's still like a baby to me. So anyway, so they're on there, and I'm even the therapists on there are very young. So I'm like, okay, I don't know. My judgment is just going all over the place, and I do think that as a professional counselor and counseling other people with mental health stuff, just I'm very judgmental with that kind of thing. So I noticed that right away. I was like, man, I am being so judgmental. Can I let this go for a second and just be open to whatever's going to happen? And I let that go. And I just was like, okay, it's going to be what it is. Well, I went through the call and I had a massive meltdown afterwards because it was very sad. It made me so sad. And I'm getting emotional just talking about it. Um, what a what a slap in the face of reality. Okay, so reality is that more and more younger people are getting breast cancer, and more younger people are getting colon cancer and all the cancers, right? Like, let's just not sugarcoat this. And it just was very sad, and I felt very sad, and I also compared. So I started to compare myself with them, meaning that, like, we're talking like, they're all in early stages, like they're early stages, stage two, stage three. They're all not great. Okay. So let's just not, not one is not better than the other. It's all bad. It's not all good. So, so they're all in different stages, and I'm the only one in stage four, diagnosed with stage four. And so I start automatically, my mind starts comparing cancers, and it starts to compare the things that they've gone through. And the things that they've gone through are tons of surgeries and lots of pain, and dealing with suicidal thinking and a lot of emotions and like lack of support. Like there's just so many things, and man, I feel like I just got punched in the stomach. Um, that's how deep it was for me. How much sadness was coming up for me. So I got off the call and I had a massive breakdown, and I needed to have it, and I just sobbed. And it I think for me it was finally a step into acceptance. And I think that that's a big deal for a lot of us, is just accepting what's actually happening. I wasn't in any sort of acceptance. I was just in this fog of, oh, whatever. And so just accepting that this is what's happening. This is what's happening in this moment. Um, this is the reality of this, right? So accepting that. Anyway, I was really having a meltdown, and my daughter heard me, and she came upstairs, and she really handled it like a rock star. And I, it was at the point where I didn't feel like I had control over it. It was just coming out so deep and strong. And she came up and she was like, "Oh, mom, are you okay?" And I just said, it's just really hitting me now." And she sat with me and we hugged, and she just gave me so much space with it. And I'm so grateful for her for that. So if you're listening, Haley, I love you so much for that. Um, that was just an amazing experience, because typically I would think, oh no, I don't want anyone to see this. And uh, I go more to that than not, right? It's like, oh, I don't want to call somebody in a breakdown. Like, that's not a good idea. I haven't not had good luck with that actually, so I don't typically do that. I've learned my lesson. I've called people sometimes in breakdown. They just, when you're in, well, I'll say me, when I'm in a massive breakdown, there is nothing you're going to be able to tell me that's going to get me out of it. I'm just going to say that right now. It's just not going to happen. So it's just something that I have to do on my own, pretty much, like work myself through it. However, she really did help me, because she didn't, I think what was helpful was that she didn't solve it, right? And there is no way to solve it. However, a lot of us, we want to solve everybody's problems, and she didn't do that for me, and I'm so grateful for it. So something happened, something worked here raising her, so that's great. Anyway, so I just, I think that this whole thing is about breaking down and breaking through. And after that, that is when all of these magical things started to happen for me, where I was tapped into my emotions. I was really accepting what was happening. I was like, okay, what's next? What's my next step? What do I do now? And I started making my next steps. And, you know, just I felt very guided. And I felt guided before that because of, what had happened to me on the couch when I heard, "Do you want to get better?" It's like, well, yeah, I want to get better. So I really do believe all of this was divinely orchestrated, just like I always say. And that call was supposed to happen. And I was supposed to have the breakdown. And my daughter's like, it just all happens how it's supposed to. And um, it was magical after that. It was like easier. It was a lot easier. I mean, okay, so this is what's happening now. I had the breakdown. Now I'm having these breakthroughs. I'm getting, now like I cry a lot more. I just say that I cry a lot more with since then. Um, and they're not, I don't know how to explain this. It's not like a depressing cry or like miserable crying. It's like, or suffering crying. It's more like a cleansing crying, and um, uh, it's inspiring. I don't know if that's the right word. It feels that way to me. Like it's like, okay, this is how I could describe it. It's like I watch American Idol. Well, I used to. I don't watch it now, really. When I would watch it, I would cry around the underdog, right? It's like the underdog that wins. That was inspiring to me. I love those stories. It's like the person that you think wouldn't be the one that's going to win is the one that went, like the one that just all the odds are against them, and then they ended up winning, or they, the person that's homeless that wins the lotto. Like those stories just touch my heart in a lot of ways. And so that's the kind of crying I'm talking about. It's more of this touch, just feels so good. It's like I feel touched. So I have a lot of that now, more than I ever have. And I just let myself do it. So you'll see me here doing it. If you're watching, you'll see me do it. If you're listening, you will hear me do it. And I'll even say I feel emotional. And I do my best to name those feelings. And like, I think that's super important, is to name those. So in the breakdown, I was definitely sad. I was definitely scared. A lot of fear. I mean, I think anybody faced with a disease or illness or anything like that, there's going to be fear. I mean, we just, we're human. We're going to have fear. So, fear of death, fear of what's going to happen to my kids, fear of like, and I realized something as I was moving through that was that, like, well, wait a minute. I'm actually acting like I'm already dead. And I'm not. I'm not dead. I'm here. So, nothing's actually happened to me. I'm not dead. I'm still here. I can do what I have. Do what? Do what with I have? I don't know. I can, you know, just go by moment right now and take care of the things that I can take care of, which is, updating my will. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. And that's the thing that was very eye opening, was like, well, holy crap. We're all done. We're all going to die. Like, this is not a joke. Like, let's wake up here, people. We're all gonna die. For me, I it's like I knew it in the back of my mind, like, yeah, we're all gonna die. Like, we just don't talk about it. And we don't talk about it. And to me, it's something I want to talk about more, because it's going to happen. That is one guarantee in life. It will end. This life will end. So meaning that my body will end at some point. And somebody asked me the other day is, well, what do you think happens to you when you die? And it's such a good question, because I used to think I would go to heaven, like a place. And I do believe there is a heavenly place inside of us already. I don't think that we're going to die and go to a place, because I don't believe in hell. I don't believe we're going to go die in hell or die in heaven. I think that we go, like, our spirits go somewhere. I don't have all the answers. I don't know for sure. All I can go on is what I've experienced, and I do really believe there's another realm, and I think we go there, wherever that is. And for me, it's like the spirit lives on. Like, I believe that there's spirits all around us. It's just that we choose to see it or not see it, like, depending on what your beliefs are. Um, so for me, I don't, my answer is that our bodies die. I do know that is a for sure thing. And the guarantee is that it will die. And I think it's just moving in to let's start talking about these things. For me, nobody's ever really talked about death around me, or, I wasn't raised around people talking about that. And even in church, because I was very active in church, and even in that it was like, oh well, you die and go to heaven. However, it wasn't talked about like, what happens to your body, and like what, it just it's just you die and go to heaven, and this is this great place. Hey. However, I just don't think we talk about it enough. And so that's, again, this is why I'm doing this podcast, so that we can start having these types of conversations around, death and dying and what happens to us. And um, I know that there's, spiritual experiences, and people have near death experiences. I believe I've had one. Not so much as like I went in a coma and came out of it. Not that drastic. However, I do believe that I have had one, and I continue to have these like mind blowing spiritual experiences where I'm like, I feel like I'm in another universe. I'll just say it that way. We could say universe or worlds, or I don't know. Um, I think that if this would have been like 20 years ago, I probably would have been put in a mental institution because of the voices that I hear. And they're not like, it's not like outside of me. I'll just say it like that. I'm not like, oh yeah, it's not like, oh yeah, the IRS, the IRS. What is it? My mom would say, oh, you're just spying on me. You got the FBI. You and your dad are spying. You and the FBI are spying on me. It's not that kind of voice. So my mom is, I talked about her a little bit. She was a very mentally ill, and so she would say stuff like that. And we're gonna definitely talk more about her. And so anyway, so that's the breakdown breakthrough. And I just think that they are those that having that is so important to our health. It's like, I think if I would have stayed in a freeze state, not think, I know if I would have stayed in a freeze state, that would not have done me really any good to my body, right? That could have actually made it worse, I believe, because those feelings are locked into the body and they're not being expressed. And so, I mean, if that's you somewhere, if you're not expressing those emotions, they're locked into your body somewhere. And I do, like I've said before, I do believe that your body keeps a score, and it has these, like if you have aches and pains, it's a really good idea to find out what's going on. Not only from the doctor, from yourself, like what's going on with me right now. So really, really important to get those out and express them. And what are those messages. Um so anyway, yeah, the that was a really good thing. That, having that meltdown was really a great experience, because I started to move. I started to move after that. I started to take more action. I wasn't laying around as much. I mean, I wasn't laying around as much as anyway, but I was, I just wasn't doing a whole lot. I was like, like getting it is just in this sick mentality. And I mean, my blood was really low. So that's part of it. Um, However, you know, I started to move into another direction of like, what's next? Okay, well, what things can I do for myself? So I could move, I could walk, I could eat different things. So I started to go on this path of like, okay, health. It's time to take it on, right? It's like now is the time to take this on. Like all those things you said before about, eating healthy and, you know, that kind of thing. This is what's really going to help you right now. That was what I was feeling. And then I get into these places, and I don't know about you. I get into these places of rabbit hole. I call them rabbit holes, where it's like I go in a direction and I just keep going down this rabbit hole. Oh, I'll do this, I'll do that, I'll do this. So what happened was I started with the food, looking at the food, and then I was like, well, I want to find somebody that has the same thing I do so that I could relate to them. That's like a needle in a haystack right there. That right there. I was looking for that though. I was like, okay, God, please just give me somebody that's been through this before and that knows what to do, knows how to cure it, knows how to heal this thing. And I came across a book, and it was a book on how I basically, it's called How I Beat Stage 4 Cancer. Now, I started on that and I did that protocol for 3 months, and it was intense, intense. And I will tell you, there was a moment where I was like, the spirit, my spirit was like, this is not going to be sustainable. So it was basically a protocol of a shit ton of supplements. I mean, let me just put it into perspective here. Like every hour, you're doing something. Every hour, every half hour, you're either eating something or you're taking something. And I did it for 3 months. I mean, I'm surprised I lasted that long. However, I did it. So I did that, and I learned a lot from that. I'm glad I did it. I learned a lot about food. I learned a lot about what we put into our bodies matter. Put into our bodies matter. That came out flubby. Um, so what we eat and consume really does matter, and I've learned a lot about that. And I definitely have gone, because of that book. I went totally vegetarian, plant based, and it has been life changing. So I did do some meat here and there, because we're talking like this was like 8 months ago. I have done some meat here and there, and it's not done well with my body because my body's not used to it anymore. And anyway, it helped me a ton for that book. Just helped me so much. And there's some protocols I still use from that. And one of them is the Budwig diet. It's helped me a lot with my inflammation and, yeah, just body inflammation. It's super, super, super good for you. Anyway, so I started doing that, and I just remember standing in the pantry, and I'm like, I mean, I literally have boxes of supplements, and I have them labeled. Okay, day one, day one, day two, like they're all, or not day one, hour one, hour two, hour three. I'm saying days. It's not days. It's hours. There's something to do all the time. And then like you're not able to like if you eat a certain thing, you have to wait a certain amount of time before you can take a certain thing, certain supplement, and like there's just all these things. And it's like, oh well, don't eat this with that, and don't take this supplement with that thing. And I'm just like, oh my God. Very confusing. And I had it all labeled out, I had it all worked out how this was gonna go. Um, and I just remember standing in the pantry looking at it one day, and I have like a handful of pills, supplements, and I'm getting ready to take them, and my throat hurts. And that is one thing I was noticing. I was like, God, my throat hurts so much from swallowing all these damn pills. So I'm getting ready to do it, and I'm like, I just feel this like, the spirit come over me and say, you're not going to do this with that. You're going to do it with food. And I'm like, thank God. So I'm like, done. Done. I'm done with all of it. I haven't done any of it since then. And that was like 4 months ago. So um, maybe longer. Yeah. So done with it. And I realized something around that. I realized that there's a difference between allowing the spirit to direct you and allowing the spirit to direct you, or what, your guides direct you, or whatever you believe in, God, to direct you, or it's wanting to feel in control. There's a big difference. And I think that there was a part of me that was like wanting to be in control of it, that I got to do it this way, otherwise it won't work. And that is so not true. That is so totally an illusion. And we can listen to the guidance, right? And something I said the other day, which was like, do we really have control, right? We don't necessarily have control over our bodies dying. We can do things to help ourselves. And then we could go even deeper with this. And I was like, well, does it even change the destiny if you think about it? Does like are we predestined? Does God, does God know what's going to happen? Do God already knows what's going to happen to us? I believe so. I already believe it's all planned out, right? So if I go right or left, does it even really matter? This is something that I thought about, and it's definitely something I'm still sitting with. It's like, oh, really, that's like a mind melt. It's a mind melt right there. It's like, really, are we, if I if I do chemo or I don't do chemo, does it even really matter? Because we're all predestined to go at some point. And do we even have any control of when we go? So like, if chemo kills me, is, like, so I could say, well, okay, well, chemo killed her, or so she died because chemo did it, or is that really true? Because if I didn't do it, if the person didn't do it, they could still pass, right? Or they could still leave this world. Just something to mind melt you, because that's how I roll. Anyway, something to think about. I just don't think that, I'm not sure we have control over any of it. And it might be an illusion. I'm pretty sure it could be an illusion. Yeah. So I think that really what it is though is just we just want to make the most of where we're at and take care. We definitely want to take care of our bodies, right? Like this is housing our spirit, and I believe that I woke up this morning with this thought of like, okay, I'm here, I'm still here. What's my mission while I'm here? I believe that this is just a stopping point to the next thing, right? So like I'm on a mission here. What am I going to do with it? I was on the couch yesterday. I was in a little bit of pain um, from a surgery, and I'm just watching TV, and I'm like, God, this is just, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to watch TV. Like, this is just too much. And it feels like I'm not fulfilling my mission, right? My friend said, well, you know, healing is productive. Yeah, healing and resting is productive. Very profound statement. Thank you, Sheila. A very profound statement. So, healing is productive, and so is resting. And so, that is one of the things that's been very difficult for me is to sit, like to not do something. And I sat in a cave for 5 days, and that was very challenging for me because my ego, my brain always wants to go do things. It's like be busy somewhere, which can be an escape for me. So resting has been very crucial for me. And I do believe that's what's helped me heal as well, is just rest. There's nothing wrong with watching movies and sitting on the couch. Just don't stay there, right? Like you got to move at some point. There's got to be some movement. So this is a really good spot to end and or to close this episode is just, break down, break through. What breakdowns are you having? Are you having them? Are you numb? Are you in flight, fight, or freeze? So I did mention flight. I think by doing a lot of things, that's a flight response, can be a flight response, is like getting our minds off of things is a way to escape a little bit. So I think some of that is okay. I think when we do it for a long period of time, it's probably not healthy, is to be in that for a long periods of time. And so, anyway, so I hope that you have your breakdowns so you can have your breakthroughs. And thank you so much for checking this out. And I would really love it if you could support me in liking the video, leaving some comments, writing to me would be great. All the things would be awesome. I will include all of that in the links wherever you're looking at this or listening to it. Well, obviously, you can't see it if you're listening to it. Anyway, all the things. Anyway, thank you so much for checking this out. And I will see you, or you will see me, in the next episode